All right. Welcome to the Decoding the Bible series. I am your guide, OG Shug. And in the Decoding the Bible series, we will be breaking down different Bible passages, people of the Bible, meanings, far as symbology and numerology. Now, before we get into any Bible verses, anything Bible, I want to give a full disclaimer. If at any time you hear me say something that goes against your belief system, please feel free to cut this off. And if you can, come back at a later time and hear the rest of it. Now, before we get into any Bible verses, any meat of the Bible, we must break down the origins of the Bible. So, without further ado, here we go. When was the first Christian Bible created? Well, the first Christian Bible was created at the Council of Nicaea, May through July 325 AD. And we must understand 325 AD is 300 and something odd years after Jesus was supposed to walk the earth. And we have to also understand one thing as well. The council, what was the Council of Nicaea? What was it for? What was its purpose? Well, there at that time, it was a debate on if Jesus was all God, part man, or just a man who had good intentions and he was divine in that way. They sat down and had to come up they had to come up and decide how going further we were going to look at Jesus. So at the Council of Nicaea, this is when they decided what books were going into this big book. So from now on, these books will represent how Jesus will be looked at going further. And those books were 73 books. It was more than those 73 books. But those were the books that they decided to put in there so you would be able to look at this man this way going further. And that's how we're going to look at him. And it was called the Latin Vulgate Catholic Douay Bible. Now, who wrote who wrote the first Bible? Constantine. He did not write the first Bible, but he was the man who commissioned for the first Bible to be written. And we must understand that Constantine was a Roman emperor. And at that time, the Roman Empire was basically like the mafia before it became an organization and they came together. At that time, different parts of the Roman Empire were beefing with each other, and they had separated. They were still the empire, but they were arguing on who was going to be the leader. So this man Constantine said, "Hey man, we're going to bring everything under one roof like Lucky Luciano did and brought all the families together and created that one mafia group." Well, guess what? That is the same thing that Constantine did. He brought everybody up under one rule. And watch this. At first, you were the Roman Empire. But when they created the Bible, the Latin Vulgate Catholic Douay Bible, they became the Holy Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Catholic Empire. Now we must break down the word holy, and you can Google it. The word holy means devout to a religious or political system. We all know what Roman is, and Catholic, what we don't understand, the word Catholic means universalism. So break down the words Holy Roman Catholic, devout to the Roman Universalism. And that's what we're spreading. So while you may be thinking something else, that's who started this Christianity thing, and it broke off after that. Now, who were the writers? Who were the writers at the Council of Nicaea? Because we must understand, at the Council of Nicaea, the priesthood, all of these preachers or the priests did not agree that Jesus, that how we look at Jesus today is the way you should be looking at him. And they were cast out and moved to the side and subsequently killed when they did not want to go along with this process that we look at Jesus today. But who helped write the Bible? The priesthood. And the priesthood consists of Roman priests who were citizens of the Roman Empire, but it also consisted of captive priesthood. Because one of the main things that you did back in the day, 2,000 years ago, because the preachers, just like today, are one of the biggest influencers you have. Excuse me. So to keep the people influencing under our rule, they didn't kill the priest. They brought the priests under their rule, and you start preaching our thing to your to your people who are now under our rule. So you must understand, part of the priesthood, some of these people that were priests were Etruscans. Look up Etruscans, because I know that's something Etruscans. Hebrews, Hebrew priest, Persian priest, Greek priest, Kemetic / Egyptian priest. And understand, the priesthood were called bishops. The priesthood for the Roman Catholic Church was called bishops. How many bishops do we know today? Now we must understand, I'm jumping from 325 AD to later on. But we must understand, from here to here, the Roman Catholic Church, they split up. Lutheranism came in. Then the Protestant church starts. This is why we're going here, because this is the Protestant era. So when was the King James Bible created? It was created in 1611. What's going on in 1611? It's the height of slavery. And the thing about it is, certain white people and people are trying to figure out, how can you treat these people like this? These people are humans too. But one thing the King James Version did was it changed certain Bible verses in the Catholic Douay Bible in the King James Version, especially about black people. Well, about black people. And black people in the Catholic Douay Bible were black and beautiful, feared, powerful and strong, well respected. King James Version, watch this. Black people go to evil, scattered and peeled, terrible from their beginnings. We will get into the Bible verses later. Trust me, we're not leaving nothing. We're not leaving nothing uncovered. We're getting into everything. This is just the origins. Also, King James was the man who put the Bible in a mass produced. He was the one that put the Bible in the hands of most white people. Most white people could read the Bible at this point. That was something that was never done. But guess what? Us melanated people in 1611, were not allowed to read the Bible. Number one, at that point in time, we couldn't even read. So we weren't even allowed to read the Bible. So we don't even understand. We was black and beautiful. Now we are terrible from our beginnings. Who wrote the King James Version? Because everything it matters. William Shakespeare was one of the main writers of the King James Version. Also, a man named Francis Bacon, who you'll probably never hear about, Google him, was a writer of the King James Version. But what he does, because he doesn't want people to know what he's doing because of his position in society, he filters his writings to William Shakespeare. And the other people that wrote the Bible, because William Shakespeare didn't write it all, was the Kabbalistic Jewish writers. And they learned their knowledge from the Moors in Spain. The Moors in Europe. They were melanated people who were running Europe from 700 AD to 1400 AD. You need to look them up because they are the main reason why slavery even starts. When was the King James Version revised? The King James Version was revised in 1881. What's going on in 1881? Well, we know slavery ended in 1865. So at this point, melanated people are starting to want to hold political positions. They're starting to read a tank so they can start reading the Bible now. Melanated people want to start owning churches. Melanated people are starting to have these Bibles in their homes because this is one of the only things they can read and one of the first things they were allowed to read. Now watch this. Up to this point, it was 73 books. Now we're down to 66 books. When they revise it, they take out these books. Now they will tell you that these books, they weren't holy canon. They didn't need to be in there. These books weren't, they were just in there. But watch this. Those books, a lot of those books were basically about when melanated people were ruling the earth and how these white people started to come in and invade those lands. And one of the main books, if you want to get into that and read, are the Maccabean books. Talks about when they come in and start invading, defiling temples and start to do other things. Good read if you want to read something. So we must understand, because remember, we are not supposed to know that we were running the earth at one point in time. We, as far as slavery was concerned, we were supposed to slavery. We weren't doing anything with ourselves. We were just blah, 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 and then all of a sudden they came and got us, put us in slavery. Now we had to put y'all through this. Now here y'all go. Which is why we're confused as a people right now. Now, lastly, when was the letter J created? And this is very important. The letter J was created in 1524 by Gian Giorgio Trissino. Now, up to that point, there was no letter J in any language. But there were something close to the letter J in the Latin language. And remember, the Romans spoke Latin. So the letter J replaced the letters I, Y, and H. We're going to talk about this. I can't believe that. What? Giannis Antetokounmpo. You got the G, but the G is silent. You don't say the G. Watch this. Nikola Jokic. J, the Joker. But you don't pronounce the J in the Jokic. Another thing, bring this right on home. The first people to invade the Americas were the Spaniards, the conquistadors. When they came, they didn't speak J's. Why do you think your South American brothers do not, I used to work with a man named Hammy, but you spelled his name Jamie. There was no letter J in any of these languages. We are English, which is the third edition of Latin. Old English, which was basically when they started filtering Latin into a new language. Middle English, now we speak New English. In New English, the J was created. They put in the J. So y'all say there was some about the name Jesus. Just remember, if the letter J wasn't created till 1524, and I'm going to leave that right there. But I will put this, and we're going to end off in this. Jerusalem. If there was no letter J before 1524, what was Jerusalem called? It was called Jerusalem. And you see I have it underlined 3 times. The word Heru, which is the root word for hero. Heru is the equivalent in Kemetic / Egyptian folklore or mythology or religion, whatever you want to call it, is the equivalent of Jesus Christ. Had to end it off like that for you. So we have gone through a lot today. And I know this has been a lot on you. I want you not just to take my word for anything I've told you. I want you to look this up for yourselves and make sure, because this is a class. This is not you listen to me and you sit here and take everything that I'm saying and you don't do any research on it. That's not this. You hear me and you listen to what I'm saying and you go back and do your research. Now, I appreciate you for being here, or I appreciate you for listening this week. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you.